Welcome to the Digital Remodeler podcast. Thank you for joining us today. And with me is Adi Soozin, and we're going to be talking about the indestructible winner's mindset. And Adi, you've got an amazing background. Thanks for joining us today, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have for us.
I'm hoping that this will help at least a few people in your audience.
Absolutely. So, your background is amazingly varied. You have done everything from scaling startups to setting marketing records with Apple. And mindset has been a big part of your success, a big part of achieving high level outcomes. And it's a passion that you're now teaching and talking about as you speak to audiences. Let's talk about how has mindset played such a big role in achieving some of these high level outcomes that you've achieved.
Well, something that's really interesting is when you set out to do something difficult, you have a lot of people who are going to tell you it can't be done simply because they want to say no. Like, that's it. Not because they agree with you, believe in you, don't believe in you. They just want to be able to say no to something because we live in a world where there's so many things that are like bombarding our brains. They get overwhelmed so easily that it's very easy for people to just want to say no. So, what I found is explaining to people when I say, "This is what we're doing next," and they say, "There's no way you're going to do that." I say, "Right, I think you're confused. I was not asking you for permission. I was telling you what we will be doing next. And if you would like to join me, you are welcome to, but this will be a winning team. And if you don't think we should do it, then let me know when you're ready to join us because we're going to get started."
Oh, that's powerful. So now let me ask you this. So, did you start off that way, or was there a specific turning point in your life or a challenge that tested your mindset that helped you really lock into that type of mindset?
I would say I started out that way. I lost that mindset for a little while and then I went back to it.
Okay.
So, I don't know if how much you dove into my family, but both of my parents are industry titans. Uh,
Okay.
my father took an area that was farmland, and him and his brothers made it into the most commercially developed city per square foot in the United States. And then my mother took a small beach town that was nothing and made it into one of the top three most expensive to vacation in the United States. And now her clients are A-list celebrities like Christina Aguilera, Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, Marshmello, the who's who. So they didn't really give you an option when they gave you a directive. So my mother would come in and say something in middle school like, "What are your plans today?" And it was a Saturday, and I'd say, "Well, I don't know. My friend slept over, so we were just going to hang out." And she'd say, "Okay, great. So I volunteered both of you to perform before a few thousand people at a charity tonight. You have a few hours to figure out what you will be performing. Here are your costumes." Like there was no deciding if you were ready. You had to be ready, and you had to be on stage ready in a few hours. So it was like, great, we have to pretend we know what we're doing, whether or not we do. So we might as well figure out what we're doing.
Yeah. So you mentioned though you lost it and you came back to it. So
Yes.
so tell me about that.
So I went to a very cutthroat business school, and we had a bell curve. Do you know what the bell curve is?
Yep.
So yeah, your grade isn't dependent on a scale of 1 to 100. Your grade is dependent on what everyone else got in the class.
Yeah.
So it was very cutthroat. The school prided themselves on engineering their grading system so that our MBA program was as cutthroat as a law school in the US. So you had a lot of like psychological games that people would play with each other. People try to sabotage each other. I was in the modeling world for a while where people would try to sabotage each other. A woman gave me a hair mask before a fashion show that was supposed to help, and it stripped my hair. And the head designer had to call a stylist in at like 10 p.m. to to cut my hair and give me like this anime haircut at 10 p.m. the night before the fashion show. So I think what happened is I had this winner's mindset being raised in my unique environment. Then I went into the real world where it was very cutthroat, and I kind of had to, like, learn how to hold my own, uh, against people who would want I didn't even realize I was on their radar, but they were obsessed with trying to destroy me. And so the first few times that happens, it knocks you off your game and you kind of get a little freaked out. And then you realize I need to do something super important and high profile with people that my enemies are afraid of. And the people that your enemies are afraid of are terrifying, and they will not accept anything but a winner's mindset. So I have this one godfather that when I try to introduce him to people, he's one of the most impressive men in the Americas, and in parts of Europe. And I'll introduce him to people and they can't even speak in front of him. But he won't tolerate anything but my best. So he reminded me to bring that back to the forefront, that
Mm,
mindset.
mm. I think that's a powerful. So anybody listening needs to write that down. Anything but your best. So many of our listeners are self-made entrepreneurs. So they're juggling teams, deadlines, demands of their customers or clients. How do high performers maintain clarity? You've got all these demands coming at you, and if you're like most high performers, we're always being bombarded with opportunities. There's always something new on the radar. So
Yeah.
how do you maintain that clarity so you are bringing your best every time you step up?
You have to have one very specific North Star metric, maybe 3, and you have to say no to anything that is not one of those 3 things. So I have friends who are kind of stalled in their career and their trajectory, and they were asking me, they were like, "Why don't you go into these different industries and participate here, here, and here?" I was like, "Because anytime I do that, the people who are my number one supporters and collaborators become my competitors. And then the support that I need and the collaboration I need, I don't receive anymore." So there's a really good case study. It was about Pepsi when they bought Taco Bell. So when they bought Taco Bell, all of the other fast food chains that they used to provide Pepsi products to became competitors. And by trying to branch out, they made all these people that they were supposed to be collaborating with into their competitors. So anytime I see someone who's struggling or their company's not growing as fast, I'm like, did you pull a Taco Bell? Like, did you try to buy a Taco Bell and just upset all of your allies and your biggest clients? Like, um, there's something to be said for doubling down and becoming like the best of the best in one specific vertical. So with all of my friends, they know me as the commercial real estate maven, the one who's obsessed with commercial real estate. If it's a commercial real estate speaking engagement or event, I'm there. I get to be flown in for specific events as the person speaking about commercial real estate, and that's my niche. And I have a degree in medicinal and biological chemistry, and they've asked, why don't you speak about biochemistry or the innovations in med tech and biotech and things like that? It's like, because then the top pharmaceutical executives who are mentoring me won't be mentoring me anymore and referring me to these events to speak next to them because they'll see me as a competitor rather than as someone who comes in next to them.
So that's so valuable. The specialization and that singular focus.
Yeah.
So so I think this is probably going to answer this next question I really have for you. You've worked with Fortune 500 companies, political leaders. What's one of the common psychological traits, or maybe one or two, that you notice among these top performers? What's the common thread that you tend to see?
Oh, they're taking bullets. They're taking bullets. Most of them, when we start the phone call, they have really high cortisol levels. They're super stressed. And so the first thing we talk about is, like, I'll make some jokes. We'll talk about something light, get them calmed down. I'm sending them pep talks. I literally had to call up one of them a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I know you're hiding because you think I'm mad at you, but I just want to remind you that I've been mad at you before and our friendship has survived it. And if you're hiding and avoiding me, my calls because you're mad at me, I'd like to remind you that our friendship has also survived that. So call me back because we have a very prestigious event to plan together. And it was an event that had 20 billion in decision making power in the room. So,
Yeah.
but the thing you have to keep in mind is like at that level, they'll have one person who gets upset with them for like the slightest misstep, and an entire multi-million or multi-billion dollar deal crashes. So you have to, step one, lower the cortisol levels. Step two, remind them that yes, loyalty is the most rare asset for people who can buy anything, but you're a loyal friend who's there for the long term. And then step three, once they're calm and relaxed, you can talk strategy. They'll actually talk to you about like what they see as the risks that have to be mitigated, what the weaknesses are that have to be compensated for, what the strengths are that can be highlighted, and things like that. But you have to first make it like a relaxing and safe space because marketing requires your frontal lobe to be very activated, and your frontal lobe is less and less engaged the higher your stress levels. So you can't be thinking clearly about marketing if you're super stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, and I think you bring up an interesting point, and you are really hitting something I think is critical. Those that really move to the top have high pain thresholds. They and that's what keeps them in the game.
Yeah, yeah. I will say this. The first time someone stabbed me in the back, I was devastated for months. The most recent time someone stabbed me in the back, it took me 3 minutes to realize they did it. It took me about 10 minutes to come to terms with it and get over it. And you have to think of like your mindset as repetition training in the gym, right? Like the first time you do a pull up, you won't do a pull up. You might like barely pull yourself like 2 inches up. But the thousandth or 3,000th time you do pull ups, you might get like between 20 and 100 pull ups out. With your mindset, the first few times competitors come out you, you'll be shaken because you didn't realize that people could be that dark and psychotic behind the scenes when they want to take out one of your companies. And it'll really shake you up. And then after, I don't know, like the 15th or 50th time you get a death threat, you'll realize the people who write death threats aren't the people who are trying to kill you. They're just the people who are trying to mess with your head. So you can still report it to the authorities. So they start building their own track record. But like, yeah, that with mindset, it just, you have to learn to process and get back up. It's not that you're denying the pain exists, it's that you heal from the pain faster.
Hmm.
And you know what's a really good one is when you're hit by a competitor or a hater or a critic or a bully, whoever, and it really cuts deep, go to ChatGPT and say, "This happened. Pretend you are Carl Jung. Walk me through how to emotionally process and recover from this." And then it'll give you some really good exercises to go through because you can't, like, people are like, "Oh, just ignore it." And I grew up with stoicism, and stoicism is great, but I think stoicism mixed with Carl Jung's philosophy is where the real magic happens.
Hmm. Good. So, what are two or three non-negotiable daily habits that you feel fuel your mental performance? So if you were to say these are my go-tos, what would those be?
So if you saw on my desk, I have 4 bottles of water like this. Yeah, so I have to start the day with 2 liters of water on the desk because you'd be amazed by how your mental performance is impacted by your hydration. So that's one. Um, Another one is like not skipping meals. So I used to majorly at fault. Is that the right word in English? I forgot the phrase in English, but I used to be totally guilty of um trying of getting so into work that I would forget to eat, and then I would have a massive headache, and then I would get stressed, and then I would get hangry, and it would, like, destroy my productivity, and then I'd be so frustrated by the time I got to the kitchen that, like, I wouldn't know what to eat, and it was just so then I would drink a coffee, and then, yeah, the entire, like, the productivity for the day would go down. So, I have to, like, force myself, to keep to honor meal times. I can't skip those. And that's something you'll notice like a lot of people, especially in the US culture, we skip meals. Um, and then what's another one? I keep plants around, I keep natural light around. I try to ice bath. I don't know. The rest aren't really non-negotiables. It's if I notice that I have like negative self-talk coming, I've trained the social media algorithms to be like cheerleaders so that I can like open it up and it'll give me pep talks rather than like telling me how like every type of food in the US is killing me or whatever else is on social media. Um, but yeah,
That's good. So, along those lines, as somebody who's a high performer, decision fatigue is one of those things that can come along. Back to back, high stakes decisions. How do you manage decision fatigue? How do you keep things in check?
we have a uniform. So there's a few things I do. One, I don't make decisions on food. We have like the food's decided.
Hmm.
So it's cod liver and salad, like very Russian Jewish of me. Cod liver salad, that's it. Like it's decided. The news, I have someone who filters the news for me, and then he tells me which news headlines I have to check based on the financial decisions that I have to make that week. But then keep in mind a lot of the people that I work with on a regular basis, they're foreign ministers, they're international leaders. So the headlines are about them. So like I was getting messages today as someone was ripping apart someone on a G20 and I was like, this is probably going to be in the news later this week. Like I don't need to read the news. I already got it in my WhatsApps. um and then with with wardrobe, I have 11 pairs of black leggings and 10 black t-shirts. And I have a uniform for when I go on shows. I have a uniform for when I go to events that are during the day. I have a default outfit for when I go to events at night. So like, the president wears like has like 50 of the same black suit or whatever, like different presidents have that. I highly recommend I have that as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, what other routines or rituals would you recommend for business owners who feel stuck in just reactive mode?
Oh my god. Oh, you know what I have that's a really high performing thing, and I didn't even think about it till now. You know those giant, like, $200-300 foot massage machines?
Yeah,
I keep one under the desk, and anytime I'm sitting for more than 20 minutes, I put my feet in there because it forces the blood flow back up, and it's wild how, like, there's all these studies on reflexology and how it impacts your neurological performance. That's one. Sorry, I forgot to answer that one earlier. And now what was your other question?
So what other things would you suggest? Rituals,
Oh, yeah.
routines, if they feel stuck in reactive mode?
Okay, so the first one is I would start a workout routine. A really good one that I do is I find workouts boring, so I will wake up at 5 a.m. and do my workout before my brain's actually awake to object. Because if I wait till like midday or the afternoon, I've had like 600 different excuses formulated for why I will not work out. Yeah, so that's one. Um, Another one, when you work out, your brain processes works as your body is moving, your brain is working through different problems, and it's kind of weird how that happens. That's so working out like as soon as you wake up, pre-coffee, half asleep. My friends will laugh when they see me stumble into the gym because it's very obvious that I'm half asleep. Um, the next one is uh, going for a walk because walking, just the act of like walking for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. Like, say you're only going to go for a 5-minute walk, and then you'll notice as you're walking, like your brain starts to process and put pieces together. Finding something like mundane to do with your hands. So, uh, like sorting laundry or washing the dishes or something that like your housekeeper would usually do, just taking that and doing something trivial like that for a few minutes, you'll notice you fix your brain will start to sort through things as you're physically moving things. And then another one I don't really like doing, but I force myself to do it at least like once a month or once every other month, is reading some sort of self-help book. So there's one by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's called Big Magic. Um, I don't know if you saw how I wrote the book that was number 2 bestseller in the US in April.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch that in your bio.
Oh, okay. So, it's this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's
okay. Yeah, actually, I did.
yeah,
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, let's. So for our listeners, real quick, hold it up again. Tools of Marketing Titans. So you need to get it. Tools of Marketing Titans. 90 plus high impact marketing projects to fast track revenue growth. Now
yeah.
we've pitched it.
So with that book, every time I would get writer's block, it was because I was thinking about like I would write a sentence and then I would think about what every single critic was going to say about that sentence. And then I would get writer's block because I'm stuck in hatred. And then my daughter, she's she was when she was 8, she got the biography, like an 8-year-old's version of the biography of Audrey Hepburn. And in there, it spoke about how one of Audrey's success tactics was that every morning she would read the letters from her fans. And I was like, "Oh my god." Like, and then I had, the past president of Rotary International, like the most powerful woman in Rotary International. I kept saying to her, I was like, "Look, I'm afraid to go on the speaking tour. I have to speak in a different city every 3 to 4 hours for 7 days. What do you have for me?" And she was like, "You're not doing it for you, you're doing it for them." And so same thing, you're focusing on the people who love you, look up to you, and trust you. And so, like, if you shift from, "Oh, I'm doing this for me," to, like, as a contractor, for example, when you're like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm worthy of putting my business out there and promoting it." I want you to think about a really unethical contractor who's gonna go into that same house, steal all their valuables, steal their jewelry, not fix anything, and leave, because that's who your competitor is if you stay silent and don't promote your business. So, do you still think you don't deserve to be the contractor who's fixing people's houses? Or do you think that you're doing everyone a massive favor by letting them know, hey, I'm trustworthy, I'm talented, I will take care of your family, your house, and leave your valuables? Like, you're not being selfish by promoting your business, you're saving families. With insurance, okay, there are people out there who are going to pitch insurance scams, and you're out there with a real solution that can help families. Is it selfish to be promoting that, or is it selfless to be helping families save themselves from heartache?
That's good. And you really you bring us into something important, and that's this psychological, I'm going to call it tug of war that goes on in a person's mind, that really separates the elites from everyone else. And the question is, is it confidence? Is it resilience? Is it something deeper? Because everybody goes through that. Am I good enough? Self doubt, all of those things. And you tapped into this because we're dealing with imposter syndrome and all these self perception issues, and if we've gone through any kind of slump or setback, how do we get through that? I love what you brought up. That your daughter, the book she read,
Yeah.
and reading those letters and the advice that your friend is giving you. How do you win that mental battle? Because one of the things you brought up, early on was you've got your competitors out there that don't want to see you succeed, but sometimes the worst competition is the stuff in between your own ears.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing you have is like people in your circle, like friends and family that get jealous when you succeed. And you kind of have to say to them, like, look, I'm unstoppable. This is everything I've achieved. So you can either be in my corner or get out of my way.
Yeah.
That's step one for silencing the haters that think they can talk you off, talk you down. Step two is if you have imposter syndrome because you think you don't deserve to be somewhere, I want you to think about the most terrible, unethical person that offers the same exact service as you. Would you want them to help the people who want to be helped by you?
Mhm.
There's a woman who used to say she was my competitor in marketing, which is funny because she's never done anything for any real businesses with more than one person in them. And here I was having already broken Steve Jobs' record. And people would ask me, they were like, "What do you think of her marketing?" And it was like, she doesn't understand that the point of marketing is to make your business money. So she's costing you somewhere between 1,500 and 10 grand per month. But how much money is she make are her marketing campaigns making for your company? And so I didn't feel like I deserved to be promoting my marketing material on my marketing company that does marketing automations. It's only 3 automations, and I felt kind of weird about promoting those, but then I saw me staying silent wasn't in this, like, specific group, wasn't helping any of the businesses because they were spending 15 to 10 1,500 to 10 grand paying her, and she wasn't driving sales for them, and their companies were dying. So you have to think, don't think about, oh, should I be promoting my business? Should I be sharing what I do with people? Think about the people that want you to work with them. You're not pushing yourself on them. They're looking for you. You just have to help them find you.
Mhm.
With imposter syndrome, the weird thing is that people who are 15 to 30 levels above you, they've seen the chessboard that you're a pawn on. So you see a field in front of you that's confusing and you don't understand. And they're standing above the chessboard and they know exactly where your piece should be. So they take your piece and they put it where it belongs. And then you go, "No, I'm not the king or the queen or the knight. I'm the pawn." And they go, "No, you were lost. You belong here. You've done everything that no one else has done." Um, in June, I had someone who was very intimidating decide that I should be mentored by them and co-host some events with them. And I went to one of my mentors and it was like, "I'm freaked out." And he was like, "I don't think you realize how grossly underqualified all of your peers are compared to you on this specific thing." And then one of the women who was competing for like the same position, um, she sent out a pink, glittery, sparkling invitation for that was supposed to be for like one of the most prestigious business schools in the world. And I was like, "No, okay, you're right. I am qualified." Like, and I was like, "You're right. Okay. I don't think I'm underqualified anymore. Imposter syndrome over." So you kind of have to like maybe you're looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking you're not qualified, but then like you look at a few of the people around you and see how grossly unqualified they are compared to you, and your imposter syndrome is cured.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is more dangerous to a business owner's growth? Self-doubt or complacency?
I would say self-doubt. Complacency typically means that, like, look, you're achieving what you wanted to achieve. You got to the level you wanted to get to. Some people have like a specific level. They get to it. They're happy there. They don't see a reason to grow their business any further. Other people get their dopamine highs from achieving new things and breaking new records all the time. They're just built different. They're just their brains are built differently. So when my book hit number 2 bestseller in the US, my father didn't say congratulations. He said, "What are you doing next?" There was no like take time to take your feet off the gas, relax, enjoy. He said, "What's your next challenge? I don't want you to sit there bored or get complacent."
Hmm.
So your peers will also be there to decide whether or not you get to be complacent.
Yeah.
But with self-doubt comes self-sabotage. And part of you knows that you deserve to go to the next level or that you should be at the next level. and part of you is messing yourself up and preventing you from getting there. So I would say that self-doubt is worse because then you that leads to self-sabotage, which can destroy business relationships.
Absolutely. Now, as a high achiever, the other piece of this though is how do you keep from burning yourself out?
Mm. I definitely take time where I go off grid because I literally I have people right now asking me to be in different cities every 72 hours speaking at different events. And I told a few of my friends a couple days ago. I was at the birthday of a senior vice president of an international bank and um the managing director of a biotech fund, and they were like, "You look tired." I was like, "I think we're going to tell people that I'm working on some very difficult deals for the next 6 weeks, and I'm just gonna, like, lay low." And they were like, "That's fair." But, yeah, I mean, you have to learn to say no because if you're burnt out, you're useless to everyone. You can't help anyone. You can't. So you have to go back and forth between I want to help people and I'm going to commit to doing this because I want to help people and I believe in the future of this industry or this niche or these professionals. But you also have to remember that you can't help people if you're dead or in the hospital.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this too. You know, not just the burnout side, but sometimes you're going to hit just a something doesn't go your way. Campaign fails, partnership falls apart.
Yeah.
What's your mental reset protocol when something just blows up?
Um so in May, I had something blow up. Um Royally betrayed. It was absolutely horrible. I went out of town for 3 days. I grabbed dinner with a childhood friend. He's friends with my brother and I. So, we grabbed dinner, we played pool, and then, yeah, we just behaved like kids, like, went to, I had another time I grabbed a friend, he's my age, mid-30s, late 30s, we went to the arcade and played the basketball game and skee ball and whatever. Um, yeah, you have to play those childish games to kind of just release the pressure because and people are like, "I don't have time to do that." And it's like, actually, you don't have time not to do that. Um, and then after like an evening of just camaraderie, the next morning I called. We call him the hot CRE Yoda. My friends gave him the hot part. I just called him the CR. I was like, he's like Yoda. They're like, he's a Yoda for commercial real estate people. And then a few of my female friends happened to find him attractive, so now they call him the hot CR Yoda, or Professor E. And I called him and I was like, "Yo, I need you to just like get my head back in the game." He was like, "What do you got for me? What's happening?" And he's trained in MMA. He played every single sport possible. He's built 40 buildings in Manhattan. He's from Brooklyn. He's like a built fighter, just second generation real estate player. So he's like, he's amazing. And he gets knocked down sometimes too. And I was like, this just happened. He's like, step one, you have to forgive yourself. I was like, what do you mean forgive myself? He's like, I know you're beating yourself up for picking the wrong business partner and not seeing the red flags. He's like, so step one, I want you to forgive yourself. He's like, okay. He's like, step two, you deserve loyal friends and love. Like, okay. It's like step three, let's talk through a time that that happened to me. So you realize this is perfectly normal human experience because high performers are obsessed with being high performers. So when
Mhm.
something goes south, they verbally destroy themselves. Um, I also I one time had one of my analysts. He's 24, like a young optimistic kid. He was in the car with me after an event. I didn't think it went well because I was focused on all the things that didn't go well. And I was just ripping myself apart. And he was like, you just did one of the most prestigious, blah, 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 blah. Like, no one thought you could pull it off. Why are you so angry? And I was like, because these things didn't go well. And he was like, but all of these things went really well. And no one knows everything that went like to hell behind the scenes. I was like, That's true, but I still need to be mad at myself and verbally abuse myself for at least an hour." And he was like, "Okay, let me know when you're done." Like
That brings us to another interesting, point of discussion though. So being a high performer, uh, how do you determine whether you're being persistent or stubborn, and when's it time to jump off and pivot?
Only you can tell that. It's yeah, only you can determine that. There's, like, for example, if you're in podcasting, you don't know if your podcast is gonna be successful until you've had 100 episodes. Um, what I would say is think about being on a construction site. You're building a house, right? There are people who are going to metaphorically come by and they're going to say, um, "You're doing it wrong." But they're not going to pick up a shovel and help you build the house. And then there are people who are going to come by and they're going to say, "You're doing it wrong. Let me show you how to do it the right way." And they're going to start helping you build the house. And then you're going to notice, wow, they helped me build a really large portion of the house. And they're going to become your partners. And you're going to give them revenue share or referral fees or something. But and then more people are going to come by, and some of them are going to pick up a shovel or a hammer and nail, and they're going to help you. And other people are going to come by and just offer criticism and walk away. You have to surround yourself with the people who pick up another piece of equipment and help you get to the next level. And that's a learning process that takes time. So we had this extremely prestigious event in July. Leading up to it, a lot of things went really just completely sideways, total mess behind the scenes. And someone sat there and he said, "I should never do events again because I'm terrible at it and I have no idea what I'm doing." After the event, he was the first one to brag to everyone about it, call me a genius, say he knew that I was going to be successful all along. And then the next day, he brought me to a bunch of Fortune 1000 like headquarters to introduce me as potentially collaborating with them on future events, including like the private venue of Tiffany and Co in Manhattan on Fifth Ave. And this is the guy who literally 4 days earlier told me I had no idea what I was doing. I was completely unqualified and I should never do this again. Literally, after it happened, he's like sitting there wanting to make sure that everyone knows that he's with me. So
Mhm.
you have to learn who to take feedback from, and then you can use that feedback to kind of gauge whether or not you should keep going or you should take a foot off the gas.
Oh, excellent. So if you had 30 minutes with a small business owner who's stuck at $1 million in revenue and they just don't know how to scale, where would you take them from a mindset perspective?
Before the mindset perspective, I would look at what can be automated, because usually if they have scalability issues, they are the bottleneck. So there's a framework. It's called AOH. Uh, invented it 2019 when a friend was freaking out about COVID. She had a software company, and I said, "I just want you to do AOH." And she was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Step one, automate. Automate everything you can. Step two, outsource. Stop hiring people in house. Outsource everything that you can, because Kazakhstan has amazing developers who are a fraction of what it costs to hire a developer in the US. Uh, Colombia has amazing designers. Philippines, amazing designers. Nigeria, amazing social media people. Outsource as much as you can and then hire in house." So that's where I highly recommend they get with a marketing consultant or fractional CMO who's going to help them go through that framework with every system in their business. Fractional CMOs are kind of like external CEOs or like a fractional COO doesn't know everything that could be automated from the marketing perspective, but a fractional CMO will know those things. And for startups with less than 10 million, typically you're spending 30 cents of every dollar you make on marketing to grow fast, right? So if you have someone coming in that can save you, what is it, out of a million, save you $300,000 by automating, like I think that's worth it for a couple months. They come in, they help you automate, outsource, hire, and then train that talent. That's I think the first thing. And then from there, then look at the mindset. Um, but once you show them how much they can grow by automating and outsourcing, then you'll notice their mindset shifts from I have to do everything myself and I am the bottleneck to I want to automate as much as possible, and their business starts to scale so much faster. They hire more assistants. They are open, but they have to let go of those reins. Usually, when they're stuck at the first 1 million, they want to control everything themselves.
That's good. So, to our listeners today, if there's one takeaway you'd love to just drive home to them today about having a indestructible winner's mindset, what would that be?
Ice bath.
Ice bath.
I'm
Great.
kidding.
But you said you weren't consistent with yours now,
I am
so
not consistent with my ice baths. No, I don't think you should do listen, like, my grandmother used to say everything in moderation. So, like, some mornings I wake up and I'm like, "I need an ice bath to get my head in the game." Um, sorry, my dogs are barking. Uh, Other times I'm like, "Okay, 1 second. Okay, uh, no, I think you need to listen to yourself and learn how to be your own coach to get your head in the game. Sometimes you need to just like take an extra few minutes in the morning to just go for a walk or decompress. Like your cortisol levels need to be low in order to be able to perform at work.
excellent.
So
So, Adi, where can our listeners learn more about you, about your work, connect with your training resources, get their hands on your book? What's the best place to do that?
okay, so the book is cheapest on Amazon. You can pay triple the price on Barnes and Noble for no reason. Um, and then my courses are on Molo 9. I can create a unique link for your listeners to get a discount on those. The
Okay.
Elite Startup Toolkit. It's just 5 courses, and then 5 marketing courses that teach you how to automate and set up the systems that should be built for easy scaling in the beginning. They will not replace a marketer. You still need to like if you want to do your own marketing, you can do those 5 playbooks, and by the end of the 5th playbook, your company should be large enough that you can hire a marketer to come in house. That's the goal with those. It's not to replace marketing forever. Um, and then I'm on LinkedIn and YouTube and and Instagram, but Instagram's not as active. Yeah.
Fair disclaimer.
Yes.
Go to LinkedIn first.
Yes.
All right. Adi, it's been great talking with you today. Thanks for joining us. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. And be sure and follow Adi. She's got a lot of great things going on. And be sure and grab hold of the book and take advantage of the offer.
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and thank you for having me.
You bet.